of former President Trump is believed to have done a Google search 1 week before the shooting of how far away was Oswald from Kennedy. That word comes from FBI Director Christopher Wray during testimony Wednesday before Congress. He's revealing new details about a suspect who seems to have taken a keen interest in public figures, but had otherwise not left behind clear clues of an ideological motive. The online search was recovered from a laptop tied to 20-year-old gunman Thomas Matthew Crooks. Rough day on Wall Street as the Dow was down by 504 points. The Nasdaq dropped 654. More at townhall.com.
Hi, I'm Charlie Moon. I've been in the trading game for almost 20 years, and I just discovered the most powerful trading tool I've ever seen. So if you're trading stocks or options, then listen up. This new AI-powered trade finder can find you stocks to consider trading, which have had gains as high as 1,729% and have had nearly perfect win rates. It analyzes the entire stock market in seconds and pumps out a list of trades for you to consider every single morning. And the trades it finds can be potentially profitable regardless of which direction the market is moving. So if you want in on this action, listen closely. For a short amount of time, I'm opening up free access to some of these picks and giving you the chance to get top trade ideas from the AI Trade Finder every day for 100% free. Just text trade to 76626. Stop trying to find the right stocks to trade on your own. Just text trade to 76626 now and get access to the top trades our AI finds every single day. Text trade to 76626. Standard text and data rates may apply. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Text trade to 76626.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
A wipeout on Wall Street sent stock indexes to their worst day since 2022, as big tech dragged the market lower following profit reports from Tesla and Alphabet. The S&P 500 slumped 2.3%, its fifth drop in the last 6 days. The Nasdaq Composite skidded 3.6%, and the Dow fell 1.2%. Tesla tumbled after the electric vehicle maker said its profit for the spring sank 45%. Alphabet dropped despite delivering better than expected profit and revenue. The Dow was down 504 points to close at 39,853. The Nasdaq lost 655 to 17,342. The S&P 500 dropped 128 points to 5427. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here is tonight's forecast. Muggy and warm this evening. Scattered showers possible. A low of 75. Tomorrow, on and off storms. Not as hot. The high temp topping out at 88. For Friday, more showers throughout the day. And again, a high in the upper 80s. Your rain chances lessen for the weekend. Highs around 90 both Saturday and Sunday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Please press button now. No, that number's bigger than the one I said.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome back into Sports Talk, everybody, here on the Sports Talk Media Network. It's the Wednesday edition as we continue here in Charlotte. Chris Bergen not with us. Hopefully he's making some progress getting back home from New Orleans. Josh Cohen is at our studios in downtown Columbia. As I mentioned, we're here in Charlotte. Boy, Charlotte the focal point of the world. Lots of important people in Charlotte today. In fact, today in Charlotte, we, the media, were subjected to some bombastic, pompous, verbose, and highfalutin comments. No, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about the Miami Hurricanes. Boom, boom. See, I worked on that all day. I really need Bergie to be on with me so somebody would laugh at that particular line. Let's do it again, Josh. Get the I'll let you laugh for a second. So here in Charlotte today, we were subjected to some bombastic, pompous, verbose, and highfalutin comments.
Ha 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 ha.
I'm not talking. No, you're laughing too soon.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't talking about Donald Trump because he's here at the Bojangles Arena right now. No. I'm talking about the Miami Hurricanes. There you go. There you go. No, the Hurricanes, they were very professional. You know, they were not the pompous, verbose, highfalutin, and bombastic Hurricanes of the past. So Mario Cristobal, head coach of Miami, we heard from him. Jeff Brom from Louisville, we heard from him. Bill O'Brien from Boston College. Bill O'Brien, that's a huge name in college football, any football coaching circles. You know, this is a guy he was so highly thought of, he was hired to replace Joe Paterno at Penn State, okay? He worked with Saban. He worked with Belichick, head coach in the NFL. And now taking over at Boston College, their former coach, now the defensive coordinator with those lovable, huggable Green Bay Packers. Manny Diaz from Duke, first year there. You know, he's like Will Muschamp. He's getting another shot. He had his shot at Miami. He didn't win enough. He was 21-15. Now he's getting a shot at Duke. And then Dave Clawson from Wake Forest. 4-8 last season for Wake, a team that had 7 straight bowl trips. We'll talk more about these teams and what their coaches had to say, and we'll hear from one of them tonight. We'll get to that. We also are going to hear tonight from Brent Venables from the SEC Media Days. Brent Venables, former Clemson defensive coordinator, now the head coach at Oklahoma. It's an SC Wild night tonight on Sports Talk as well. Major Billy Downer will join us 7:35 from the Department of Natural Resources, DNR, here in South Carolina. And his topic, his subject, his focus is going to be on sharks. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. In fact, I saw a story. I think there was somewhere down near Hilton Head, I think somebody was bitten by a shark here recently. So, you know, it's still summertime. It's warm out there. The sharks are, I guess, coming up close to the shoreline or up to the beach. And got to watch out because they'll eat you. No question about it. All right, our phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you to reach us here on Sports Talk. Your comments will be welcomed as we can get to them tonight, so don't hesitate, don't delay, don't be afraid to join us this evening. Got some news notes to throw your way as well. In fact, the Braves today played a makeup game from last night against Cincinnati. They were rained out in that one, and they made it up today in Atlanta, and they lost 9-4. So, you know, the Braves had a team meeting the other day. That's usually the kiss of death. And they go out and they lose 9-4. They were supposed to play another game tonight, but it's been canceled because of rain. All right, so there's other baseball today. Colorado put 20 on the board against the Red Sox, 20-7. Houston beat Oakland 8-1. Milwaukee beat the Cubs 3-2 today. What else we got? Pittsburgh over St. Louis 5-0. Minnesota beat Philadelphia 5-4. And there you go. Game 2, the last game of the Subway Series is tonight. The daggone Mets are going for a sweep. Can you believe that? They're going for a 4-game sweep of the Yankees tonight. All right, a few other things. of importance. 888-898-2525, the number. As we wait for some calls to roll in to spice things up tonight. But let me catch you up on a few other top stories as we see them today. USC baseball signee, right-hander Carson Messina has signed with the Blue Jays. 12th rounder. He signed for $550,000. So the Messina brothers are going to make out quite well from their draft choices. Clemson left-hander Rocco Reed, he signed with the Diamondbacks today. 15th rounder, he got $150,000. Bob Markham passed away yesterday. Did we mention this yesterday? I don't know. We didn't because I didn't see it until last night. And it was John Calipari who was tweeting out information about Markham. He revered Markham. Markham was his AD at UMass, and apparently they remained very, very close. So Bob Markham passed away at the age of 87. He had suffered a stroke and was in the hospital. And, he was athletics director at South Carolina from 1982 through 1988. USC joined the Metro Conference in 1983 until joining the SEC in 1991. And Markham was that AD who stood up to his president. And, boy, they fought. James Holderman wanted money from the athletic department. And Bob Markham was not going to give it to him because of things that Holderman allegedly was doing with money at the university. A lot of stuff going on there. And you had the steroids issue during that time. You had the greatest football season in USC history to date in 1984 during that time. You had Joe Morrison on the scene during that time. Joe Morrison smoking cigarettes on the sideline. Pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of smoking cigarettes, but, pretty cool to see a football coach smoking on the sideline, something you'd never see today, of course. Even though I was watching the Open, I think it was on Saturday. Did you catch this? The Open? One of the golfers, and I think he was from Britain or one of the countries over there. He was lighting up on the golf course. He was smoking a cigarette. He hit a shot. Next thing I know, he's got a cigarette in his mouth. You just don't see that anymore. So Bob Markham hired Joe Morrison, also hired Nancy Wilson. He was the AD at Kansas before he was hired at South Carolina, also at UMass and Marshall. I forgot that he also served as the vice president and GM of the Charlotte Motor Speedway and VP and GM of the Atlanta Motor Speedway. I'd forgotten about his involvement in the racing industry. So Bob Markham passing away at the age of 87. South Carolina baseball announcing their 2 scrimmages this fall. One will be against Air Force on October 26th at Founders Park. No surprise there because, remember, Coach Maneri once coached at Air Force. So he's reaching back to his past. The other one's going to be at the College of Charleston. We knew about that. That'll be on November the 7th. They got odds on everything today. Bet Online sent us this, the odds on the first college football coach to be fired in 2024. Oh, you'll like this, Josh. Who do you think has the shortest odds on being fired first in the 2024 season? From Bet Online.
Billy Napier.
Well, you win the Golden Star today.
Second day in a row.
Billy Napier is 4-1. He's 4-1 on being fired first. Sam Pittman is 5-1. Mario Cristobal is 6-1. Should have asked him that question while he was here today. Down the list, Justin Wilcox of Cal is 12-1. I like him. He seems like a pretty nice guy from listening to him the other day. Shane Beamer is 16-1. Tony Elliott is 16-1. Dabo Sweeney is 25-1. Brent Venables is 33-1. They even have Deion Sanders on here at 50-1. So some real long shots with some of those guys. the with the settlement apparently coming in the House case and college football and all that, being reported now that football roster caps will be set at 105 in the long form House settlement that's expected to be filed by Friday. All right, so we're taking another step here in the reprocessing of college sports and football. So, right now you can have, of course, 85 scholarships. So now they're talking about 105 scholarships. And Dave Clawson, coach at Wake Forest, said today when asked about this, he said basically this would end walk-ons for football programs, which he thought was kind of sad because, hey, look, there's a lot of walk-ons aren't heavily recruited, and they get to college, and they turn it up, and they become major contributors at their programs. I mean, you can cite hundreds of players in recent years who have been able to become contributors, some as reserves, but part-time contributors, many as starters. And the poster child for that, of course, would be like a Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow would be a quarterback at Wofford, probably. It's probably where he was going to go, Wofford, and play quarterback and maybe baseball. But he goes to Clemson as a walk-on, of course, and the rest is history. So this could mean the end of walk-ons for major college football programs. Ohio State's NIL football distribution last year, according to their coach, they paid out about, this is from their AD, to Ross Dellinger. They paid out about $20 million NIL football distribution last year. All right, so that kind of gives you an idea of where the bar is going to be set right now. But, here's the thing. That bar is going to keep going up and up and up, because if they're spending 20, then what's Michigan going to spend? What's Alabama going to spend? What will Southern Cal? What will what will Tennessee spend? What will South Carolina and Clemson be able to spend? You knew this was coming too, and it's probably going to be spreading like wildfire. The Florida Board of Education ratified a bylaw change today that will allow NIL deals for athletes without forfeiting their ability to play prep sports. So there you go. So, a little eighth grade linebacker on the JV team, he can, he can start up a lawnmower, a yard cutting business, and do advertising for somebody, go cut their grass, get paid for it, whatever. You knew that was coming because the high schools kind of mimic the colleges. We missed this last night, the Southern Conference preseason polls, and Chattanooga, the favorite to win the SoCon, followed by Furman, Western Carolina, Mercer, Samford, East Tennessee State, VMI, Wofford, and the Citadel. There's several players on the preseason all-conference team from our state. We've got on the offense, Wofford running back Ryan Ingram, Furman offensive lineman Luke Pettitz, Wofford tight end Jordan Davis. Then on defense, Furman defensive lineman Xavier Stevens, Wofford defensive lineman Brandon Mena, Wofford linebacker David Powers, Wofford defensive back Maximus Pulley, got to be one of the best names in the state, Maximus. Specialist place kicker Ian Williams of Furman. And that's it for the first teamers. So Wofford's got some good players. See if they're able to rise up a little bit and be a little bit more successful here in 2024. Okay, phone number 888-898-2525. Couple of lines are open. Let's go to Gamecock Larry over in Swansea to lead us off tonight here on Sports Talk. Gamecock Larry, how are you? Welcome in.
I got something to tell you, Phil, and I know you ain't gonna believe it, but I got something down today, and I don't believe. Well, it's hard for me to believe. It's for August the 15th. You know what? There's going to be 4 teams leaving the HCC, and they're going to go into SEC in 2026. Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, and North Carolina State is going to be in the SEC starting the 2026 season. Do you believe that?
No.
Now I tell you what I heard it from pretty good source. It's hard to believe. I don't believe they're going to do that to Clemson. And another thing, wasn't Jim Phillips, wasn't he the president of Clemson at one time?
No.
Well, who was it? Jim Phillips.
No. There was a Jim Phillips. There was a Jim Phillips who was the play-by-play announcer for Clemson. But no, the current current ACC commissioner was never the president at Clemson.
Okay. Do you believe I mean?
No, I don't believe it. I told you the other night what I think's going to happen. I told you that I don't think they're going anywhere. Okay, let's be counterintuitive here. I don't think they're going anywhere because right now, and I just saw comments from the commissioner of the Big 12 who said they're not taking anybody, that they're happy at 18, what they've got right now. So if they're happy with what they've got, if the SEC is happy with what they've got, and if the Big 10 is happy with what they've got, they got no place to go.
Okay, they're going to be in the ACC. Okay,
I will tell you that things can change every day. You know, something can happen. But what I'm telling you right now is I don't see anything going down right now. I think you're going to see them in the ACC in 2024 and 2025. But you don't know. I mean, it seems like there's and thank you, Larry. We appreciate the call. Sounds like you're feeling better. There's an eruption in college athletics about every 2 or 3 years, you know. So what might look settled here in 24, 25, 26, it could be all blown up in 27, 28. That's just the way it's been in college football. The instability has been noteworthy. And what we talk about today being the case a couple of years down the road be totally changed. Having this conversation in 2020, you'd have never thought that Oklahoma and Texas would be in the SEC by 2024. You never would have. Never. Or SMU and Cal and Stanford would be in the ACC. Nobody. Let's go to Rocky in Greenville. Next call here on Sports Talk. Rocky, welcome in. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Phil. Hope you are.
Yes, sir.
You've been a traveling man these last few weeks.
Yes, I have. But I've enjoyed every moment of it. I love listening to the coaches and the players and visiting with other media people, some I haven't seen in a while. And it's just good to renew some acquaintances and been in 2 great cities, Dallas and Charlotte. So that's been fun as well.
I hear you. Well, and I've enjoyed your reporting. I got a couple of comments on these increased scholarships. First, I think it's wonderful for college baseball. If they're gonna get, it's been at 11.7 scholarships, and these baseball coaches are trying to sign so many players, and they don't have much money, and now they're gonna get back. I mean, we're all old. I mean, they used to have scholarships for everybody, you know, way back when. But anyway, I think it's going to be great, interesting for college baseball. But on the football end, and you were talking about, okay, it's gonna take away the preferred walk-ons or something like that. Well, maybe not in that preferred walk-on may be able to get an offer, may be able to get a scholarship to a Clemson or Carolina instead of a, Wofford or something like that. But it just got me to thinking, all right, Phil, if you can get a full scholarship to Clemson, and let's just talk football, I guess, because that's the most, and you're probably not going to see the field, but hey, I got a scholarship to Clemson to play and, maybe see it now and then, or you can go to a smaller school on scholarship and play. So now it's not preferred walk-on versus going to some other place. It's apples to apples. You just getting the scholarship to a bigger school, but you're not going to play. Well, maybe you want to go to that smaller one and play. You know what I'm saying? So I'm wondering how that'll be.
It depends on the individual. I mean, we've seen cases here of late where guys have gone to a particular school, taking the scholarship, knowing they're not going to play. Because they know there's better players ahead of them, and they know they're not going to play. Could they have gone to a smaller program, been a bigger fish in that pond? Possibly so, but they wanted to be. A good example would be the Helms kid, who was the backup quarterback at Clemson until he left, and I think he's now at. Did he end up at Bowling Green? I think maybe. Anyway, he could have gone some other places coming out of Gray Academy and one of the state's better quarterbacks, but he wanted to go to Clemson, even though he was going to be backing up at that particular time. Let's say he was there a few years ago. I think he came in late under Trevor Lawrence and then was behind DJ Uiagalelei, but he wanted to go to Clemson. If it meant sitting on the bench and backing up and learning, that's what he did. Every case, individually speaking, it's all what the individual wants to do.
Yeah, well, but now being a preferred walk-on, somebody's got to pay the way for somebody that's a walk-on to go, if it's the parents or whoever else. But I think, I don't really know. It's all going to, 10 years from now when I don't know, I hope I'll be Gamecock Larry. And I'll be, I won't care who's on scholarship or who's on walking on. Who the players are. But, it's very interesting how all this is evolving. And
keep in mind in this NIL world, this isn't across the board, but, I can remember a year or two ago, I think it was BYU, their collective pledged to not only pay the scholarship players NIL dollars, but the walk-ons as well. So I don't know if that's spreading around, the rest of college sports. If you're going to be a walk-on, can you still get – if you're a walk-on, certainly you can get NIL money, because NIL money, you either get it on your own through your own social media revenues, or you go out on your own and get your own sponsors. That was the concept behind NIL. It was supposed to be the athlete using their own name and their own brand and getting the money for themselves. Of course, it's been all changed, through the business of college sports now. And thanks for the phone call, Rocky. Good talking to you. I don't know that the system that we're settling in here for now for college athletics is a good system, with collectives and asking the fans to fund the collectives and panhandling for money with the players and the ADs and the coaches. I'm not sure that's going to be a good way to go. We'll be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here is tonight's forecast. Muggy and warm this evening. Scattered showers possible of 70. Tomorrow, on and off storms, not as hot. The high temp topping out at 88. For Friday, more showers throughout the day, and again, a high in the upper 80s. Your rain chances lessen for the weekend. Highs around 90 both Saturday and Sunday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. God bless.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting authorities say a wildfire burning in Oregon that's kicking smoke into neighboring Idaho and beyond is now the largest active blaze in the U.S. Fire crews are also bracing for a storm that's expected to bring lightning, strong winds, and the risk of flash floods to the area late Wednesday. The Durkee fire is burning near the Oregon-Idaho border. Israel's national anthem was loudly jeered before its soccer team kicked off play at the Paris Olympics against Mali. The game began with a massive security presence outside the stadium amid an increasingly strained international climate that has Paris's safety squarely in the spotlight. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 504 points, the Nasdaq dropped 654, the S&P 500 lower by 128. More details at srnnews.com.
Summers are so special around the lake. The only thing that can make it more special is finally going ahead and getting your own new boat. There's never been a better time than now. Marine 360 has a great selection of 2024s, but they won't last forever. And here's why. Everything Brandon and Scott have in their inventory is available at or below invoice cost. And not because they're good guys, which they really are. I've known them a long time. And not because there's some gimmicky commercial like some guy hawking used cars. I don't do that. That's simply because the manufacturer's rebates from folks like and Sea Hunt, well, they've never been better. So you win, but you need to get moving. As the season goes by, the selection will dwindle. So my suggestion, do your homework. Go online. Look at marine360sc.com. Make an appointment. Go see Brandon and Scott at Marine 360 right on Johnson Marina Road. Look at their showroom. Get a demo on the lake itself. This is the best boating value in years. Marine360sc.com or call them 749-2360. That's 749-2360, Marine 360.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
As we celebrate 10 fantastic years at Sweet Comfort Services, we're cooling you off with unbeatable deals on all SEER 2 and high-efficiency AC equipment. Hey Point family, mention this ad and get a thorough spring maintenance check from our expert non-commissioned techs for just $95 for your first system and a chill $45 each additional system. Look us up at sweethvac.com or call us at 331-8143. Celebrating a decade of keeping you cool and comfy. That's the Sweet Comfort promise.
Great things don't happen all at once. Dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 5-9 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
Excuse me, can I interest you in an easy way to reduce your energy usage and save money at home?
Yeah.
Did you know Dominion Energy has an online store?
No. Where is this online store?
Online at EnergyWiseShop.com.
What's in it for me?
Huge discounts off Energy Star certified smart thermostats, advanced power strips.
Any fees?
No. And you get free shipping with qualified orders.
I see EnergyWiseShop.com in my future. Thanks for the tip.
Certain restrictions apply.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sports Talk Media Network on a Wednesday night from Charlotte. Good to be with you. This is day 3 of the ACC kickoff. It will wrap up tomorrow with 4 more teams coming through, including the much-anticipated appearance of those Clemson Tigers. It'll be Dabo Sweeney, Barrett Carter, Cade Klubnik, Phil Maffa, and R.J. Mickens. Matt Smith will be here for us to cover all that. NC State will be here tomorrow. Grayson McCall, former Coastal quarterback, now at NC State, will be part of that contingent. Syracuse and North Carolina. It begins at 10, and I'm glad I'm leaving because there's no lunch break tomorrow. They're going to go right from 10 through 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the main media room. Wrap it up early, so good time for me to be out of town. North Carolina's bringing 5 players. Power Eccles, Omarion Hampton, Connor Harrell, Max Johnson, and Kyman Rucker. They think pretty highly of themselves in Chapel Hill to bring 5. But Dabo Swinney, like I said, they will be here, and they'll be in the main room at noon. Of course, they'll be making some other rounds as well prior to and after that. Okay, phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. I want to remind you that summer vacation is, starting to run out of time, but there's always time to get to the beach for a little getaway, maybe for a month, maybe for a week, maybe for a weekend. You're looking for a great place to stay, and everything's set up for you perfectly. Call Jimmy Smith at James Smith Real Estate. They've been in business along the coast for, 30-plus years, 40 years, so they know what they're doing, and they have a great operation. 843-237-4246. It's a simple phone call. You call Jimmy at 843-237-4246. You say, Jimmy, what's up? A little Go Cox might make him feel well also. So, Jimmy, what's up? Can you hook me up somewhere? And they take it from there.
Well, of course I can. I can definitely hook you up there.
Oh, that's the response?
Yeah, that's what he says, yeah.
Yeah. At Paulie'sVacationRentals.com, Paulie'sVacationRentals.com on the web. Again, that phone number is 843-237-4246 for Jimmy Smith, James Smith Real Estate. Let's go to Chris in Irmo. Next phone call here on Sports Talk on this Wednesday. Welcome in, Chris. Good to hear from you.
Hey, Phil. How you doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
Oh, good. Listen, 2 quick questions. Number one, at your SEC conference that you had, what one coach stood out with you?
Setting Shane Beamer aside?
Yeah.
Because Shane always does such a good job, but we're around him so much, we're not, it's just like being around Sweeney. He doesn't catch your attention because you hear him all the time. I would say Steve Sarkisian.
Okay.
And maybe because first time I've ever sat in on one of his press conferences, he's a big name. He's former NFL quarterback. Remember, he was a terrific coach at Washington before he ran into personal issues. He revitalized his life and his career, and I was mesmerized by listening to him. I was tuned in, zoned in. So I was very impressed by him. So I would say Steve Sarkisian.
Interesting. And my second question is NIL money, both Clemson and South Carolina. Where do you get that information on how that money is distributed from the university, or is that information public?
It's not public right now, and I don't know if you can make them make it public.
Okay.
Because I'm just trying to think. I don't know enough of the legalities and all of that. I mean, you're donating money, you being the fan, you're donating money to the NIL efforts, and the players are getting the money, but they're not employees. So, I mean, it doesn't count as a salary. It's not like you have to disclose it right now. They've been able to do everything, in the dark as far as how this money is, how it's coming in and who it's coming from and where it's going. The only thing that's transparent or in the open is if a player, an athlete, does a public commercial for somebody and is getting paid. Now, we don't know how much they're getting paid, but again, the whole process, I understand where we're trying to get to. Is typical of college athletics because, trying to get to something in the world of college athletics seldom goes smoothly and seldom stays within the guardrails. And the process is, I think the process is unseemly and not very tasty the way they're doing it right now. But they're trying to do it and still keep the concept of non-professionalism in place, and it's impossible. You can't do it and try to maintain that you're not professional. And by having you, the fan, giving money through the collectives, and thus the schools are technically saying we're not paying them, and thus they're not employees and they're not professionals. You know, they're still trying to dance around the same thing they've been dancing around for decades.
Sure. Well, just a quick note. This goes back, gee whiz, whenever Lou Holtz was still here at South Carolina, and I was in front of him at a South Carolina function, and I specifically asked Lou, can we not get the players compensated? And he was all in agreement, along with Joe Paterno at that time. He told me, he said, Chris, the only downside was workers' comp.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I've never thought about that.
Yeah, there's that. There's taxes. There's Social Security. Yep. There's all these things. I mean, it's a complex deal. If they become employees, it's, as you well know, I mean, you work for somebody or somebody works for you. It's all kind of paperwork and all kind of taxes and expenses and everything else that goes into play. So I think we're just really touching the tip of the iceberg on where this thing is going to eventually land. And once this lawsuit is finally done and put in place, and then the schools are going to know exactly how much they're going to have to budget right now to pay back wages, so to speak, to pay back the players, not the current ones or the incoming ones or the ones in the future. They're talking about $20-something million per school for players that came before. So
yeah.
Still a lot to be worked out.
Yeah. Good enough. All right. I appreciate the call.
Thank you, pal.
I appreciate you taking my call.
Yeah, appreciate you calling. Good hearing from you. All right, phone number 888-898-2525 is the number. Got some time if you want to join in. While we wait for more calls to come in, I'll tell you about the teams, coaches that came through today here at ACC Kickoff. So Mario Cristobal, or is it Cristobal? Always confused. Cristobal, third year, 12-13, 7-6 last year, lost in a bowl game to Rutgers, and 1-4 in games of 7 points or less. So they were right there in some games. They got 17 starters back, 10 on offense, and 7 on defense. Here's why you got to fear Miami. Cam Ward transferred from Washington State, and he is, by all accounts, spectacular. Now, here's my question to those of you who love to live by the rankings. So Cam Ward's a stud. He's going to be an NFL quarterback, might even be in the Heisman race. Transferred from Washington State, but do you know where he began his career? Immaculate Word. So how many stars did he have by his name to go to Immaculate Word? My point is lack of star rankings, lack of stars is what I tell you all the time, and people want to argue with me about it. You know, lack of stars does not mean you can't play, and having a bunch of stars doesn't mean you're going to be a star. Here's a guy that started out at Immaculate Word, but he developed. He took time. He went through the process. He developed. And he is the reason you got to keep an eye on Miami. He's called an alpha leader, a playmaker, a game changer, all of that. So this Miami team averaged 32 points per game last year. Ward, last season, 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. So he's special. And they have a running back transfer from Oregon State, Damian Martinez, 1,185 yards. They've got the outstanding receiver Xavier Restrepo back, 85 catches, 1,092 yards. 5 defensive linemen transferred in, but they retain Reuben Bain, and he's very good. A couple linebackers are back, added 3 transfer defensive backs. Got to rebuild the secondary a little bit. We'll find out early about Miami because they open up at Florida. Give me Miami in that one. I don't know the line off the top of my head. Give me Miami. Right now. Give me Miami over Florida. Louisville, Jeff Brom, 10-4 in his first year at his alma mater. Played for the ACC championship. Might have forgotten that. did lose their last 3 games, lost the bowl game to Southern Cal. 15 starters returning, 8 on offense, 7 on defense. And they, too, have a transfer quarterback to think about, Tyler Shuck. He is 6'5", 230, and he looks all of that. Started his career at Oregon, but finished before coming to Louisville at Texas Tech. 2,922 yards, 20 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. So they've got a big quarterback with a big arm, and they hit the transfer portal hard, including Miami transfer running back Don Chaney Jr. 7 offensive linemen transferred in, though they lost their best lineman from last year, the Jacobs Award winner at center, Brian Hudson. But the offensive line will be a strength. 6 defensive linemen transferred in, but they were already good on defense, only gave up 100 yards rushing per game last season. 2 transfer linebackers, 4 transfer defensive backs who were all starters at other Power 5 programs. They do play a tough road schedule at Notre Dame, Clemson, got to go to Stanford, and Kentucky. They have an offensive tackle, Jonathan Mendoza, who is 6'9", 310. And a terrific defensive end, Ashton Gelati, had 11 sacks last season. Boston College enjoyed listening to Bill O'Brien. Of course, you know he's been around NFL, college, big-time coach, first season there. 7-6 last season. Lost their last 3 regular season games, but they beat SMU in the bowl game. They have a special quarterback, Thomas Castellanos, special, a runner and passer. 1,113 yards rushing, 2,270 yards passing last season. 15 touchdowns, but 14 interceptions. Got to cut that down. Added a couple of transfer running backs. Added, remember, Jaden McGowan from Lawrence. He transferred in from Vanderbilt. He will give them some speed in the slot at receiver. 3 offensive linemen they have who are considered NFL prospects. All 4 starters are back on the defensive line. 6 linebackers are back. So they're going to be pretty stout on defense. Their offensive coordinator is Will Lawing, the son of Brad Lawing. Unfortunately, who's no longer with us, but the longtime USC assistant coach. So Will Lawing, who's made a steady climb through the coaching ranks, the OC there at Boston College. The DC is Tim Lewis, who's been an NFL guy. So they open up at Florida State. And then they play, later on they'll play at Missouri. They'll play at Virginia Tech. They'll play at SMU. So kind of a tough road slate there. Duke, Manny Diaz, his first year after his stay at Miami, in between 2 years as the defensive coordinator at Penn State, 21-15 in his career. Duke 8-5 last year, 4-4 in the league. Won 4 of their last 5 and won their bowl game. They've got 10 returning, 5 on offense, 5 on defense. Right now, Grayson Loftus from Gaffney would be the starting quarterback. He started their last 5 games last season. Remember, they had Riley Leonard. He was hurt a good bit last year. He transferred to Notre Dame. Loftus won 3 of the 5 games he started, but they took a transfer from Texas in Malik Murphy. He is 6'5", 238. He was heavily recruited, but, of course, playing behind a couple of other pretty good quarterbacks there at Texas, wasn't going to see the field. So he headed out of town and landed at Duke. Leading receiver, Jordan Moore, is back at 62 catches, 800-plus yards, 8 touchdowns. And the leading rusher is back, Jaquez Moore, 674 yards. Only 1 offensive lineman returned, so they took 7 transfers for their offensive linemen, and they have a new offensive line coach. 2 starters back in their secondary. The linebackers look good. They lost their top 5 defensive linemen, and they brought in 2 transfers. First 4 games of the season for Duke look pretty winnable, and also they host North Carolina, Florida State, SMU, and Virginia Tech. By the way, Justin Watts from Florence and Clemson is the tight ends coach, and former Clemson quarterback Willie Simmons is the running backs coach at Duke. Finally, Wake Forest, Dave Clawson, going into his 11th year, 63-61, had a streak of 7 straight bowl seasons snapped last season when they went 4-8 and 1-7. So they've been on a nice roll. Their problem last year was quarterbacks. They played 3 different quarterbacks, and that's not good. You got 3 quarterbacks, you got none. They only averaged 20 points per game, 16 fewer than the previous season. They gave up 27 per game. So they've got to solve the quarterback riddle. They took a transfer, Hank Backmeyer, who began his career at Boise State and was at Louisiana Tech last year. He's thrown for over 9,000 yards in his career. So if he's got that kind of arm, and he's got some good receivers, he has got coming back the number 2 receiver from last year in Taylor Morin, and maybe their best receiver, Donovan Green, who missed all of last season with an injury. He is back, so that will help. Offensive line was hit hard by injuries last year. A healthy offensive line will help. 7 defensive linemen return, and Jasheen Davis at defensive end is considered an NFL prospect. They return all but 1 of their linebackers and return 2 starters in the secondary. And they open with 4 home games, including Ole Miss. They also have Clemson, Cal, and Duke at home, and they'll play at NC State, North Carolina, and Miami. So there you go. Synopsis on the teams that came through today. We're going to hit the break on Sports Talk and to come back with more as we head towards the top of the hour. We'll hear from some coaches coming up. And 7:35 SC Wild tonight with Major Billy Downer, who is actually in Hilton Head. And his topic tonight will be sharks. Sharks are looming off the South Carolina coast, the Atlantic coast. Got that coming up. Hit the break. Be back in just a moment.
Deep in the heart of racing country lies a track too tough to tame. The perfect setting for the late-season drama of the Southern 500.
Outside lane gets the launch.
One last chance to make a playoff push. One last chance to catch season. One last chance to plan a Labor Day weekend worth bragging about.
Southern 500, baby.
NASCAR weekend at Darlington Raceway, August 31st and September 1st. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, let's say I'm out in the woods or I'm on the water and I need to reach a DNR agent. How do I do that?
Operation Game Thief, Phil. It's been around 30 plus years. You can call us at our 24-hour hotline any time of day, 1-800-922-5431. To report wildlife violations or to get help if you're in trouble in the woods or on the water, call us at Operation Game Thief, 1-800-922-5431.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dream time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
Hi, this is Major Billy Downer, and coming up tonight at 7:30, it's another edition of SC Wild from the Department of Natural Resources on the Sports Talk Media Network.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to... It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-98. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the
the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hostetler Brown. Helping an aging loved one arrange for their care can be one of the most difficult things you will ever do. Fortunately, you don't have to navigate this maze alone. Lawyer Lisa's knowledgeable life care team can lead you down the right path. Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has a new rolling jackpot, and trust me, our state hasn't seen anything this big before.
How Harbortown Lighthouse big?
Bigger.
Bigger than the Ravenel Bridge?
Even bigger.
Not bigger than Table Rock.
With this new rolling jackpot, Palmetto Cash 5 is officially too big to ignore. Palmetto Cash 5 draws nightly, so play today. Check if your numbers are winners in the Players Club app or at sceducationlottery.com. Overall odds are 1 in 10. Top prize odds are 1 in 850,668.
All right, we're back. Sports Talk heading to the top of the hour. And we'll hear from Brent Venables in hour number. And also, we're going to hear from which of the ACC coaches did I decide upon? Let's see. We're going to hear from somebody Clemson's going to face. Jeff Brom. Jeff Brom from Louisville. We'll hear from him as well coming up in our second hour. And then, of course, SC Wild with Major Billy Downer, and we'll have recruiting for you as well. So we got a busy second hour coming up for you here on Sports Talk. Make sure you stay with us. The MEAC's been having their media days as well, and they've announced their all-conference preseason team. From South Carolina State, on the offense, wide receiver Justin Smith-Brown, tight end Keyshawn Toney, former Gamecock, center Eric Brown, offensive lineman Nick Taste, offensive lineman Cam Johnson. On the defensive side from South Carolina State, you have just the one linebacker, Aaron Smith. Bulldogs getting a lot of love on the offensive side, not so much on the defensive side. We'll see what happens there with the new coaching staff. You know, one thing about South Carolina State, no matter who's coaching, you better be able to play defense. I mean, that's a must. That's a priority. They don't accept it if you can't play good defense. Poll question of the week. Clemson coming in here tomorrow. Of course, the media will be voting, and they'll be releasing the preseason ranking from the media sometime over the weekend. Maybe it's the first of next week. Where's Clemson going to fall? 51.4% put the Tigers second. 20% put them first. This is out of 350 votes. 17.4% have the Tigers third. 11.1% have the Tigers fourth. I think I will vote for Florida State number one. It may be Clemson second. Be back after the top of the hour break.
WQX Media, X4DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke to a joint session of Congress today at the invitation of House Speaker Mike Johnson. Netanyahu said Hamas could end the war today by surrendering, disarming, and releasing all hostages.
But if they don't, Israel will fight until we destroy Hamas's military capabilities, end its rule in Gaza, and bring all our hostages home. That's what total victory means, and we will settle for nothing less.
He delivers the impassioned speech to Congress, taking on protesters inside the House chamber and thousands gathered outside the U.S. Capitol, while emphasizing the importance of the U.S.-Israel relationship. President Biden will address the nation tonight about his decision not to seek a second term. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
On Sunday, the president posted a letter online announcing that he was dropping out of the 2024 race. Tonight, in a speech from the Oval Office, he will explain to the country more about his historic decision, which has upended the presidential race. The address will also be forward-looking. In a White House statement, the president said he will use the primetime address to talk about what lies ahead and how he will finish the job for the American people. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Authorities say a wildfire burning in Oregon that's kicking smoke into neighboring Idaho and beyond is now the largest active blaze in the U.S. Fire crews are also bracing for a storm that's expected to bring lightning, strong winds, and the risk of flash floods to the area late Wednesday. The Durkee fire is burning near the Oregon-Idaho border. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 504 points. More at townhall.com.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, look up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-504-8790. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-504-8790. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-504-8790.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center, may not be available in all states.
Automaker BMW has announced a recall in the United States.
The automaker says the recall of 291,000 SUVs is because the interior cargo rails can detach in a crash, increasing the risk of injury. The recall covers certain X3 SUVs from the 2018 through 2023 model years. BMW says in documents posted by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration that it will replace the rear cargo rail bolts that attach to the vehicle body. The company says in rare cases the body could be damaged. It's not known whether there have been any injuries due to the problem. BMW plans to notify owners of the recall by letter starting in late August. I'm Mike Hempen.
Tesla's second quarter net income fell 45% compared with a year ago as the company's global electric vehicle sales tumbled. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here is tonight's forecast. Muggy and warm this evening, scattered showers possible, a low of 75. Tomorrow, on and off storms, not as hot, the high temp topping out at 88. For Friday, more showers throughout the day, and again, a high in the upper 80s. Your rain chances lessen for the weekend, highs around 90 both Saturday and Sunday. I'm Cash with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Ooh, I like when you press that one.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Network.
Okay, back with the Sports Talk Media Network from here in Charlotte, where the ACC kickoff took a back step this evening. Of course, everything's done here, but I mean, Donald Trump is in town. He's at the Bojangles Arena, and I tell you, people go a little crazy when politicians are in town. They were talking this morning on my ride in about traffic. Even at like 9 o'clock in the morning, the guy wasn't going to be here till 6 o'clock tonight. And they were talking about traffic around Bojangles Arena and Independence Boulevard already, being a problem. It wasn't at all. I drove right through there, nonstop. I think people just presume that onlookers and slowpokes would be, going through there, but that wasn't the case. Blew right through there with no trouble. Now I would not go anywhere near that place because I know it's jammed up and packed with a bunch of traffic right around there. Okay, back to the more important items here in Charlotte. And that, of course, would be ACC football and the coaches who were in. Jeff Brom at Louisville. And, of course, Louisville will be facing Clemson coming up this season again. And they'll be coming to Death Valley. Jeff Brom in year number 2. Had a very good first year, 10-4, played for the ACC championship, losing to Florida State. Here are some questions to him and some of his answers from earlier today.
Coach Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Just looking back on your history, Howard Schnellenberger, your head coach that you had when you were at Louisville, those words of wisdom, those moments of wisdom that you can take with you, do you ever reach back to anything in the toolbox that he gave you?
Well, I was fortunate enough to play for Howard Schnellenberger, and Coach Schnellenberger had a tremendous history and past of, only undefeated Super Bowl team in Miami Dolphin history. Took Miami to the national championship, built programs at Louisville, Florida Atlantic. But really, when I played for him, he was known as a quarterback guru, coached a lot of great quarterbacks at Alabama with Barry Bryant and even at the Miami Dolphins. So the thing that I took from him the most is he was a master motivator. He got his teams to believe that they could beat anybody when they stepped on the field. He did it by, with him, saying, outlandish things to the media, like we're on a collision course for the national championship, the only variable is time. But he wasn't scared to say those things. So because of it, his team believed that they could win. And while I may not be as braggadocious as that, we want our team to take the field and expect to win every time they go out there. So we definitely learned a great deal from him, and he achieved a lot. And even though he's not with us now, I'll never forget all those moments.
Coach, also front row, right side.
Hey, Coach Brom, how are you doing today? Jalen Wilson, CFB Nation. Of course, you made it to the ACC championship last year. And I wanted to know what steps in practice and training camp have you and your team taken this offseason to build on last season's success?
Well, I think it's important that you build a team that likes to compete, that loves football, that loves to work hard to win at a high level. So we want to provide that atmosphere and that environment for our guys that they want to come over the building and put the work in and know that if you want to be great, you're going to have to work at it. And I think we got a group of guys that do that every day. While we had some good success last year and we're 10-1 at one point, we lost our last 3 games. So I think because of that, there's a lot of things to learn, a lot of areas to improve, and I think it's caused the hunger to get back in us right away and understand that if you want to be really good, you got to beat big-time opponents, and you got to find a way to win close games. So, these guys we have here with us today, and even our whole entire football team, they've worked hard. They have a great offseason. They understand we have good challenges ahead of us this year, but, this is a competitive league with a lot of parity and a lot of really good football players and coaches, and if you don't expect and bring your A game and play your very best, you're not going to win. So we definitely accept that challenge, and we're looking forward to getting the season underway, and our guys have worked really hard to this point.
Coach, from the podium in that response, you used the word great. What does accomplished greatness mean to you?
Well, I think accomplished greatness means setting goals and working extremely hard to achieve those. And I think simply put, you can't put a level to that. You've got to, expect to achieve all your dreams and not scared to take on that challenge. So, being great in this conference means, beating great opponents every week and raising your level of play and stepping up to the challenge. And, we definitely will have those challenges this year.
Coach, back to Dan in the front row to your left.
Coach, bringing in Tyler at quarterback, just what you can say, what you saw from him at Texas Tech, and just why he was the right fit for your offense as you step forward into 2024.
Well, we're excited about Tyler and what he brings to the table. Anytime you can bring in a veteran quarterback that's been there and done that, that's handled adversity, that's had ups and downs, that's been able to experience that, that's had great success, but also a few failures along the way. And he's battle tested. We're excited about it. To this point, he's come in and he's been a great leader. He's worked really hard. He's put in the work. He's, gained the respect of his teammates by working really hard with them and studying football with them and arranging that and making sure that our other players are doing it as well. But he's come here with a purpose. He has 1 year to play college football, and he wants to go out with a bang. And I think that if we can, play well around him and continue to improve our football team, he will definitely play at a high level. So we're excited about what he brings to the table, and we want him to have the best year he possibly can. And it's up to us as coaches to put him in the best position to do that, but we're going to work really hard at it.
Coach, to your right, far right, gentleman in the red shirt.
Michael McCammon, Cardinal Authority on 247 Sports. You talk about Tyler and building around him. You brought in a nice wide receiver in Colin Lacey as well, a guy that can certainly make an impact. What impressed you about him during that recruiting process to think this is a guy that can really help us take another step?
Well, Colin brings a ton of experience to the table. He's played a lot of football as well, but he's strong, he's fast, he's tough. He's made great strides even the little bit we've had him. He works really hard. So without question, getting the ball in his hands, making sure he has touches will be important for our success, keeping him healthy. But he's done a really good job. And he's one of numerous guys that we've added to the mix that have been had very good off seasons that we expect to play well.
Coach, to your left, third row, right in the middle.
Cam Lemons, 24/7 Sports. Coach, you brought in a healthy amount of transfers both last year and this offseason. I know things in college sports are always evolving, but how do you kind of keep that balance with bringing in, a healthy amount of players, whether that can help you right now or in the future from the portal, as well as, keeping the main thing when it comes to high school recruiting?
Well, in general, our philosophy is we want to win now, and we want to win this year. And yes, you can build for the future and get your young players ready to play, which is great, but you want to win now. And not only do our fans want that, but your own team wants that. So when it comes to building a roster, we have some really good guys coming back that have done a great job for us, but you know what? I think they want to win. So it's up for us as coaches to build the best team and surround them with the best teammates to help them win, because football is a team sport, and it takes 11 guys on both sides of the ball and special teams to get it done. And it doesn't matter strictly how good you are, but you got to have good guys around you. So we've tried to do that. We're not scared to change the roster. We're not scared to improve our football team, whether they're starters or they provide great competition, they play a role. But everyone we brought in has been with a purpose. Quite a bit. Sometimes they're older, veteran guys that have played at any level of football, but have definitely stepped on the field and shown on video what they can do. And to this point, we've liked what we've seen all spring and all summer. And I think all of our veterans on our team have liked what they've seen as well. And they know that if we continue to improve and work really hard and do the small things right, we're going to have a chance to win. So that's what we believe in. Yeah, sure, we're going to always take high school prospects and continue to do that as well. But with this transfer portal and having two different portals, people can leave and go when they want, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some guys leave to get more playing time. Other guys leave for other reasons. But you got to be able to adapt and adjust, and I think we've done a pretty good job of that.
Coach, from the podium, as a follow-up to that, how do you instill culture almost immediately, given the number of transfers in the freshman class every year?
Well, I think instilling culture is providing an atmosphere and an environment where your guys want to work hard at football. They feel comfortable coming over the building, putting in the work, putting in an extra work. They understand the importance of getting that done. We want to make sure our coaches are there for our players at any point in time during the day, whether it's early in the morning, late at night, whenever they want help to get better, we want to be there. And I just think if you want to be a great football team, a great player, you've got to put in the extra work. And, in order to be great, in my opinion, you've got to do more when people aren't watching. And that's important that all of our guys and all of our coaches do that, when you have free time, when you have the ability to improve yourself, you got to do it. So I just think we try to do that, and whether you've had a great day of practice or a great game, or maybe you struggle a little bit, we want to make sure the next day you can come over and do the same thing, and you can get right back at it and work. But we've got a great group of coaches on our staff that are really good people that do things for the right reasons, in my opinion. but they're willing to help our players, work hard to achieve success. And our guys, we have a lot of guys on our team that really put a lot of extra time in. And I think if the more guys you have doing that and the more they put into it, the better chance you're going to have to win.
Okay, Jeff Brom from Louisville. And again, they'll be going to Clemson on November the 2nd. That could be a big one for both teams. They did not play last season, Clemson and Louisville. Last time they played was in 2022, and the Tigers won that one 31-16. 21, the Tigers won 30-24. And they did not play in 20, the COVID year. In 19, they did play, and Clemson won 45-10. So the Tigers have, of course, had the upper hand on Louisville, but there's been some very good matchups between the two. All right, go to the break. We'll come back, give you some recruiting, and then some comments from Brent Venables from SEC Media Days, a team South Carolina will face, going out to Norman, Oklahoma. And he's jacked up, pumped up, fired up about being in the SEC. With that Oklahoma brand, that Oklahoma tradition, those Oklahoma athletes, he thinks they'll be right there competing for a championship. Be back after this break.
Relax. With a rate on select travel purchases with your Founders Federal Credit Union credit card. Now through August 31st, get 6.99% APR for 6 months on qualifying purchases, including airfare, hotels, restaurants, and cruise lines. Don't let interest rates slow you down this summer. Visit foundersfcu.com/travel to learn more. Not a Founders member yet? Founders has the financial tools you need and the personalized service you deserve. Stop by an office or visit foundersfcu.com to learn more about Founders and see if you qualify for membership. On March 1st, 2025, the promotional APR will revert to the effective APR as previously disclosed. Call 800-845-1644 for details about credit costs and terms. Membership qualification required.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your wreck case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
If you're looking to stay hydrated this summer, turn toward a southern favorite, sweet South Carolina watermelons. One slice is equivalent to a glass of water and is just as effective as sports drinks for hydration. If you don't believe us, you can ask the Palmetto State's top football teams. The Watermelon Association will be serving up slices after summer practice to keep our teams fueled and hydrated. Visit scwatermelon.org for all the details and look for ripe South Carolina watermelons in your hometown.
Hi, this is Major Billy Downer, and coming up tonight at 7:30, it's another edition of SC Wild from the Department of Natural Resources on the Sports Talk Media Network.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
George Bryant here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and wow, Tsunami Robbie, there is now an amazing technology that you can use when you train receiving large game without having to endure pain. Please explain.
George, that is the magic combination. I have 3 simple words to define that entire concept. Stimulation, not annihilation. Regardless of your training goals, there is a level of stimulation that is optimal for your desired gains. Tsunami Bar's flexible bar technology meets these demands because the user determines the level of stimulation with the amount of speed and force they impart into the bar or training device.
Hey, this is Phil Kornbluth. The Tsunami Bar is a training device, whether you're working on your fitness or your golf game. It's convenient, it's easy to use, and you won't feel beat up afterwards. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait. Order today.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawells Catering.
I'll get to recruiting. Our good friend Tim Beret from Clemson, he must have a radar, an alarm that goes off when anybody in the media talks about Clemson and doesn't quite get everything exactly right. He points out, and thank you for the text, Clemson has never lost to Louisville, 8-0 against Louisville. So I knew they had some good games. I couldn't remember if Clemson had lost one. There was that one time that Louisville nearly beat them at Death Valley when they had Lamar Jackson. But they have never, the Tigers have never lost to the Cardinals. See if they can keep it going this season. Okay, it is time for recruiting, brought to you by Seawells. Don't go to Seawells tomorrow. Closed for a private event. Do plan to go to Seawells Friday for a roast beef Friday. You'll not be disappointed. And, of course, you will not be disappointed in their catering service. You just call them and get it all set up, and they'll take care of you. 803-771-7385 is the number. Online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. Checking in on 2026 receiver, highly regarded receiver, Jordan Gidron of Ridgeview, 6'2", 175. And he's going to take advantage of the live period that begins tomorrow. Today's the last day of the dead period. You got a week of a live period through the end of the month. Going to visit South Carolina Friday for their cookout and Auburn Saturday for Big Cat Weekend. He's got a long list of offers. Not too long ago, he put out a top 12, USC, Tennessee, Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama, Auburn, Miami, Duke, North Carolina, Florida State, NC State, and LSU. Now, Clemson is also among his offers. He told us he's just trying to narrow down the list. He's got about those 10 to 12 schools. He's trying to find the best fit, looking for some place that looks like home, good connection with the coaches, a genuine connection with the coaches, and looking for an offense where, of course, receivers are important and where they throw the ball a good bit. South Carolina actually offered him last December, re-offered him when Mike Furry became the receivers coach. He's been developing a relationship with Furry, talking with him a good bit and talking with Shane Beamer. He's visited South Carolina multiple times. He was at Clemson back in March for spring practice and for a spring game, and been talking to Tyler Grisham, who he says reaches out every now and then, but he says he knows he's a high priority for the Tigers at the top of their lists, and they're telling him just to keep working. And he likes how Grisham is very energetic. He likes his energy. Gidron said he's been getting a lot of love as well from Auburn, Florida State, Alabama, NC State, Duke, Miami, and North Carolina. Decision-wise, wants to make it early 2025. If not, he'll wait until next June or next July. Caught 38 passes, averaged 17 yards per catch last season. Receiver Dylan Alfred of Saraland, Alabama, will visit Clemson Friday, and then he's going to visit Ole Miss on the weekend. He was once committed to Ole Miss. And 2026 quarterback Javon Gilmore Gaffney plans to be at the South Carolina camp and recruiting function on Friday. He has also reset his commitment date for August the 1st at 5 o'clock. I think he was going to announce like around the 29th of this month, but he has decided to push it back for a few days. And he's been working on a short list of NC State, Louisville, Virginia Tech, Arkansas, and Texas A&M. South Carolina has not yet offered. We'll see if anything happens on Friday. And there you go. There you go with the recruiting report tonight, brought to you by Seawells. All right, to the SEC, one of South Carolina's opponents this year will be Oklahoma. Brent Venables, very familiar to everybody in the state. From SEC Media Days, here he is taking some questions and giving some answers.
Really looking forward to getting things started here at the end of July. Really excited about our football team. We've got a great blend of both experience. I believe we have, give or take, around 24 players that are going on their third or more year as a starter in college football. And we also have this amazing foundation of youth. We have 52 scholarship players that are either a freshman or sophomore going into this year. We're going to welcome 53 players this season that have never been at Oklahoma in the fall to run out on the field. And that's 38 scholarship players and 15 walk-ons. We do have, again, a lot to look forward to. We have, I love the direction of this football team and the development since January that's taken place, but we still have a lot of work to do. A lot of excitement, but we got a lot of work to do. We still have an opportunity over the next several weeks and couple of months to continue to develop, which I think is going to be critical as we chase an opportunity to compete for an SEC championship. It goes without saying, the SEC is a deep, incredibly competitive league, unlike any other in college football, and everything, again, about this league is about parity. It's about competitive depth, and it's a one-possession league. As we've looked at it, outside in, you've got incredibly challenging venues. Every member of this conference, top to bottom, is committed to the excellence that this conference represents. And so, as a football program, being in our first year, we are really looking forward to the challenge.
Hey, Brad, Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat. I had a two-parter if that's okay. Kevin, he knows me, so he can help you if you forget the other part. I was wondering if you could talk about Jackson Arnold as your quarterback. I know he played in the bowl game. How big was that? What are you expecting? And then I know he's won a lot of titles and Heismans and all that, but how ready do you feel like OU is for the SEC transition?
Well, Jackson understands, better than anybody what goes into being a quarterback of a football team, of a locker room, the leader, the face, the responsibilities, the challenges. What I feel best about and have the most peace about is his ability to be able to handle the highs and the lows, the challenges, the success, the failure that a season will bring you. Nobody is more competent or more ready. Now, even though he's a young player, and we've got to, in some ways, be the headlights for him. That's why they call us coach. But his skill, his arm talent, his toughness, his instincts, his ability to lead people, bring out the best in people, no question about it. He's ready for, his opportunity and his moment.
Okay, there you go. Some comments from Brent Venables from Oklahoma. South Carolina heading out there. I think that game's in October. Looking forward to that. Never been to a game at Oklahoma, so can check that off the list of must-see places to visit in the world of college football. October 19th, Gamecocks heading out there. A couple of quick things before we hit the break, and we go to SC Wild. Garrett Gainey, USC right-hander, signed with Tampa today. He was one of their draft picks, and see if I got some money here for you. Let's see here. Well, it has not come up in my profile here, so I can't find my retweet. There it is, from Carlos Collazo, who follows baseball, whoever this is. He got $97,500. Well under the slot value for the 276th pick, which was $190,400. Okay, back after this break, SC Wild.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here is tonight's forecast. Muggy and warm this evening. Scattered showers possible. A low of 75. Tomorrow, on and off storms. Not as hot. The high temp topping out at 88. For Friday, more showers throughout the day. And again, a high in the upper 80s. Your rain chances lessen for the weekend. Highs around 90 both Saturday and Sunday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
At Palmetto State Armory, we've dedicated ourselves to providing responsible citizens with the freedom to protect themselves and their loved ones. For over a decade, we've been manufacturing top-quality American-made components and assembling them in Columbia, South Carolina, so that you can purchase them directly from us, either in store or online at PalmettoStateArmory.com. We're committed to offering you the best, most reliable equipment you can count on. We invite you to visit us today and see what makes us different. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting, insisting that the defense of democracy is more important than any title. President Biden will explain in an Oval Office address his decision to drop his bid for re-election and to throw his support behind Vice President Kamala Harris. The address will offer the public their first chance to hear directly from Biden his rationale for dropping out of the 2024 election after weeks of insisting he believed himself to be the best candidate to take on former President Trump. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu pledged in a scathing speech to Congress to achieve total victory against Hamas and criticized American opponents of the war in Gaza as idiots. His combative stance comes in a visit the Biden administration hopes can yield progress in negotiations to end the fighting. Bad day on Wall Street as the Dow is down by 504 points. This is SRN News.
Some people would tell you the world's on fire right now. Well, this isn't a political message. It's a message in support of Ken and his team at Broker Solar in downtown Columbia. I love what they're doing. This is meant to remind you about something. You can't pick your power company. It's not like swapping cell phone companies every time they ask for another rate increase. You know what, though? You can take control of your power bill. You can either pay the man or be the man. You can own your own energy. You need to reach out to Broker Solar. And famously, Hobia, when it's 100 degrees in the shade, you won't lose power when the grid can't handle the heat. You'll have stored energy and a solar-powered battery. During peak hours, when the power company's cleaning up, you'll run off your solar panels and you'll get the last laugh. Hey, solar's not for everyone. It's a serious financial commitment with serious financial benefits. My suggestion is you reach out to Broker Solar and the guys and let them answer your questions. Online, it's brokersolar.com, or give Ken a call at 807-7417. That's 807-7417 for Broker Solar.
Breathe fresh life into your home with Lake Murray Soft Wash. Our team specializes in power washing, soft washing, and restoration. From roof cleaning to wood and concrete wash downs, we've got you covered. For top-notch, affordable services that you can call now, 528-1996, or log on to LakeMurraySoftWash.com to make an appointment. We're not just professionals, we're your neighbors. Whether residential or commercial, Lake Murray Soft Wash sets the standard in cleaning. Embrace the sparkling difference today.
Do you crave growth for your business? That's where The Point comes in. Fran Halloran here. Kevin Cohen and the other local hosts like me have worked to create a space where listeners transform into family. Are you a local business aiming for the stars? You need to get with Kevin and let him help create an individualized blueprint for your growth using the influential stage of The Point Radio. Reach out directly at 563-8558. Teaming with The Point, make this year extraordinary.
I sure like to brag about good local businesses. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is a great local biz. Josh and his team stress customer service as their top priority. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning came out to my house. I had a toilet that wasn't working right, a garbage disposal that died. They came out right on time, told me everything they were going to do, and explained the price of each repair before even bringing in the tools. I knew exactly what I was getting and exactly what it would cost. Their prices are fair. Their team is courteous and professional. Plus, they did a great job fixing what needed fixing in my home. I am very careful about making any recommendations, and I'm thrilled and confident to suggest you call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning for any plumbing needs. If it's a repair or to replace something, if it's that tankless water heater that you've always wanted to give you that endless hot water and save money, they unclog drain and sewer lines and so much more. Online, you'll find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com, or just give Josh and those great folks a phone call, 799-2222. That's 799-2222, and tell them you heard about them from here at The Point.
Now on Sports Talk, it's SC Wild with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer is here to take your questions about the great outdoors in South Carolina. Give him a call at 888-898-2525. It's SC Wild from DNR on the Sports Talk Radio Network.
And it's great to have the Major Billy Downer back with us on Sports Talk, as he's been making some important visits, a little vacation here and there, and making some trips to various parts of the country. And tonight, he's down in the beautiful part of South Carolina, down at Hilton Head Island, and we welcome the Major to Sports Talk. Good evening, Major. How are you?
Good evening, Phil. Thank you for the wonderful intro. Yes.
Yes, sir.
I have been across the country. Been to Orlando last week to the ICAST show, which is basically the SHOT show, for those that understand that, of the fishing world. And I was down there with other members of our department representing DNR, and we were thanking the fishing industry for what they provide for our fisheries, much like we've talked about in the past about hunting, shooting sports. The purchase of ammunition, firearms, and archery equipment all goes to fund wildlife restoration efforts in South Carolina, hunter education classes, public shooting ranges. In the same manner, the Dingell-Johnson Act, which places the excise tax on the fishing industry, provides money for fisheries and marine programs on the coast. So tremendous presence here in South Carolina. Shimano, Shakespeare, Pure Fishing, Zebco, names that everybody's heard of. Really Z-Man, Baits, lots of other vendors there from South. Hook, H-U-K, people are familiar with them. Always want to thank them for what they do to the money they provide, just that they provide to our fisheries. Law enforcement, we're a small part of that as far as what we see. We don't get any funding from it, but we certainly help manage the recreation of fishing. So we were down there also looking at new products and things that are going on. But again, it's amazing to see how many nationally known and recognized fishing manufacturers are located in the Palmetto State. So really cool to be a part of that. Was glad we were down there, but that's what I was doing last week. That was last week.
That's pretty amazing. Let me ask you something real quick while you're on the topic before you go on to other things. What, in your basic question, very basic, say you're talking to a novice fisherman, what makes for a good rod and reel, in your opinion?
That's a great question. Probably the best question is, what can you find? That makes it the best rod and reel, because I can tell you about pin reels and how they're great. And if you don't have a vendor or a store that sells pin reels, that don't really mean nothing to you, except for the online world, which has changed that.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, Shakespeare has been a very popular. Ugly Stick is a great rod. It's a name that's been around for a long time. But you'll find people that have favorite rods, just like they have favorite camo, just like they have favorite brands of khaki pants they wear, and favorite shoes. Everybody's got their favorite brand. And if you're if you're in the bass fishing world, it's whoever pays you the most is who's your favorite. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
It's all about salesmanship. But yes, I would say that Shakespeare probably is Dawa, or names that everybody knows that are out there that makes a pretty good product for the money. I've always liked, Zebco, as far as the best reel for a starter fisherman. People laugh, but the Zebco 33 is what I started with, and I still love it today in certain environments. It's great. The old push-button Zebco 33, the Zebco 202 was also a good one for small fish like panfish. The Zebco 33 will work on bass. I mean, it's just all the way up. Now, you're not going to see a pro out there fishing with a Zebco 33. They'll get laughed off the lake. But I'm just telling you, for the basic person starting off, a Zebco 33 combo is hard to beat. If you're looking for a rod for a child starting off, Zebco 33, Zebco 202 for the smaller reel. But those are both push-button reels, really easy to use. I love a 202 today if I'm pan fishing. If I'm fishing for panfish, I love a 202 reel. Just great for me. I like that.
Yeah.
But, people love what they call open-face reels. They love spinning reels. They love those types. On the coast, probably spinning reels are more popular than anything else. And every brand's out there in the sun. It's great brand. Penn is the gold standard, literally, quote, gold standard when it comes to offshore fishing. But those reels can be in the hundreds of dollars. You can get smaller Penn reels for a couple $100. and that's a quality reel. But your basic person going out fishing, a Shakespeare rod and reel combo is great to start with.
All right.
No doubt about it.
All right, hang on a second. We'll talk more about that and get into your other topics, but we want to tell folks that they can reach you. If you got a comment, question, something you want to discuss with the Major, phone number here on SC Wild from DNR on Sports Talk is 888-898-2525. Major, let's go to CJ up in Woodruff. It's called in early with something for you. CJ, you're on with Major Downer.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I had a question. I fished last year down in the Lane, St. Stephen area of South Carolina. And while I was fishing there, I saw a couple of alligators. And I thought back to a show that I saw on TV. This company they have a business, or this family has a business in Louisiana where they remove reptiles from businesses or homes or wherever they may be a nuisance. And there was a business that called the guy out. He came out. He immediately got out, saw the reptile in a little canal by the business, jumped in the water to try to locate it. It was a huge alligator, and I just wanted to ask a question. Should people look at that show and say, well, they're not as dangerous as we perceive them to be? Because I did see some people in the water in Santee around the St. Stephen area, but I also saw alligators, and you keep hearing about people being killed by them, but I wanted to ask you about that.
Thank you. Go ahead,
CJ,
Major.
Great question. Thank you for that question, and thank you for allowing Phil to have yet another moment on the stage with one of two of his favorite animals. And we're going to talk about both of them tonight, so thanks for bringing up alligators first. Alligators are absolutely should be given a wide berth. Now, as I've said so many times for the last 6-7 years with Phil, alligators are not crocodiles. When I started this show, I'd say alligators don't have the aggression the crocodiles do. However, in the last 6 years, we've seen a change. 6 years ago, I could tell you that no one had been killed by an alligator. That is not true today in South Carolina. The number of alligators and the number of people moving into natural alligator habitat puts more people and more alligators in touch with each other. And when you do that, alligators are going to lose every time. Again, alligators have a very small brain. It's meant to tell them two things, as I always say, and Phil's going to laugh, but it's either to eat or reproduce. I don't want an alligator looking at me and having to decide either one of those things. I've said it over and over again. But they are an animal that reacts. Sometimes they make mistakes, but that mistake could cost you. And because we have more interaction with alligators, that's happened now. We've had people that have been killed. You need to jump in the water like the shows? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Are alligators going to be coming across the lake to come kill you? No, most likely not. I say no, most likely because alligators don't do that. Now, alligators have been fed different situation, and this is what we see most of the time, is that alligators being fed, that natural fear of humans is removed, and now that alligator, when it sees a person, it wants to be fed. And we had a situation last year when an alligator came out of the water and bit a person on the leg, let go, and ran back in the water. The reason it did that, we found out later, that alligator had been being fed day in, day out. Mm-hmm. So it saw a person. Its brain said, food, he's going to feed me, ran up, he didn't feed him, animal bit, because that's what it's going to do, then runs back in the water. Now, do I want to be bit by an alligator's mistake? No, I do not. And people who get bit in the water, it's very hard because alligators' tendency, if you fight, they're going to close down and draw into the water and pull you in. And they are a powerful animal. So, no, do not swim in the water. Don't jump on them. Give them a wide berth. They're not going to come in your boat after you. But
they do that thing called the death roll, right? The thing called the death roll?
Well, they call it death roll. What that is basically is alligators have very blunt teeth. They're not sharp. They can't they swallow things whole like a turtle, or they take something, they throw it under the water where it rots, and then they come up and they grab it and they roll to pull chunks off that they can eat. That's how they feed. Now, when you pull back on an alligator and fight, it's going to roll in defense. And that's the death roll we talk about, you hear about. But they're rolling in defense to get away and pull back. And that's where you've seen people get bit on the arms, the hands. The alligator does that spin, it's going to pull your arm out of socket before you can stop. And they can rip your arm off. That's the problem there. A very, very powerful animal. Again, give them a wide berth. You see signs of alligators in the area, don't feed alligators. Please don't feed the alligators.
All right.
Again, like I said before, alligators show up your dock. Be aware, don't let your kids go swim in, or your little small dogs swim out there with alligators swimming, because a dog is a natural prey item for an alligator.
All right, let me ask you something real quick. Now, you made the comment, this alligator came out of the water, approached this person, kind of expecting to be fed. When it wasn't, it bit the person and went back in the water. So is it possible to turn an alligator into a pet? I mean, like you feed it, regularly and
I'm just
treat
going to
it
make an
nicely.
easy answer out of that. Somebody probably want to argue with me. Alligators don't have the brain capable of being a pet. I'm sorry.
I mean, you can't just have one, pet them, and treat them nicely,
No.
and they'll want to eat
This
you.
isn't Miami Vice, Phil. Stop bringing that up. This isn't Miami Vice. We're not on the big boat, the fountain in the harbor with our boat. I can't even remember the name of that gator, but I remember that on the show. No, you can't have a pet alligator.
Okay.
But again, alligators are not going to, by habit, run out of the water, grab you, that kind of thing. That happened last year, but it was because the alligator had been being fed in that area and it expected food. And again, they're a simple animal. They don't understand. They don't think. They don't reason. They just eat or breed, one of the two. And speaking of alligators, I did want to mention this tonight. I was going to give you this nod, but we've got an even bigger one here with the question.
Yeah.
But the alligator draw closed earlier this month on the 15th, and I talked to our person in charge of our drawing, and people who were successfully drawn for an alligator tag for the season coming up, second Saturday in September. They should be seeing their tags probably by the end of next week, or their notification not the tag, excuse me. They should be receiving notification that they were successful if they were successfully drawn to receive a tag by the end of next week. So those folks are waiting on that. You should hear by the end of next week if you have been drawn for the alligator season. Again, it's a draw. Takes around 2 years now to 3 years to get drawn. Very popular drawing for folks to get drawn for alligator season. But that's our show on alligators tonight. Phil, your second favorite animal that we always talk about every year is?
Sharks.
There you go. It's not Shark Week. We already missed it. But we're going to talk about sharks tonight because I'm down in Hilton Head, and yesterday I saw something I've never seen before. I love learning. I've never seen a purple flag on the ocean before, but I was out on the beach. They were flying a purple flag. I was like, what in the world is that? Well, that means dangerous sea animals present. In other words, sharks. And which I find humorous because that probably could be flown every day. But then they had a red flag up, which means the water was closed. And like a dummy, I went walking out in the water. I didn't know what that meant. Lifeguard's blowing his whistle. I'm like, do you know me? I'm Major Downer. Come on. I'm a game warden. I know about these things.
Yeah.
So I got out of the water, and I said, what's going on? They told me. And lo and behold, there was a reported shark bite 2 days ago here in Hilton Head. So people on high alert. They'd seen some shark fins, supposedly, and they closed the water at least twice yesterday, trying to just be wary. And that's just the local beach. It's not DNR. So it brought the question, as we've talked about many for several shows over the last few years, every time, basically this time of year in July, we talk about sharks. So we're going to have a little shark night and talk about sharks in South Carolina, what the do's and don'ts are, what the real reality is, and what the myth is. So shark attacks, quote unquote, in South Carolina are predominantly shark bites. So shark bites. So in South Carolina, we actually have 20 shark species that regularly inhabit South Carolina waters. But the most abundant tend to be small coastal species. And of those, the blacktip's probably one of the faster swimmers and larger coastal species that feeds in shallow water. They reach up to 6.5 feet in length, and the majority of the time, the blacktip is what is the culprit for what we call a hit-and-run shark bite. Murky water, shallow water, knee-deep water, waist deep water. They come in, they see something flash, they take a bite, they realize it's not what they're supposed to eat, and they leave. Problem is they got sharp teeth. Nobody wants to be a mistake bite. I don't want to be a mistake bite. And they can rip fingers and all kind of things. They bite your hand. Remember, I've talked about this every year, and we'll talk about it today. Over the last 20 years, South Carolina's averaged around 4 shark bite incidents annually. The vast majority of these are mistaken identity. Again, humans aren't natural prey for sharks, but when a human is mistaken, the shark typically will bite and release. Well, that doesn't leave you feeling any better when you're bleeding. But these hit-and-run incidents can be traumatic. We know that. But just for instance, bee and wasp stings, drownings, and lightning strikes result in more fatalities per year than shark bites. Just an interesting little factoid. So how do you so what are our culprits? So we talked about this. The black tip's one of the number one. The other one's the bull shark. The bull shark's kind of a little he's bully, quote unquote, by nature. The bull shark is the one that you've heard about that they've cut out of their stomach when they've caught them offshore and different things. They've cut license plates out of them. They find weird things inside of them because they see something, they bite it, they swallow it. Bull sharks are that way. Bull sharks are technically considered one of the, quote, man-eaters, but they predominantly are, again, a hit and run. Black tips are not. Black tips, again, are very typical of our bites, but again, not something that kills people year in, year out. Typically, it's hit and run bites. The bull shark, just a little history piece, again, not to make them the enemy here, but the bull shark is actually probably the real shark behind the Jaws story from way back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, a shark that came into New Jersey, into the freshwater swimming area, and actually killed several people over a period of a few days. That is where the original quote-unquote Jaws story came from. And it was a bull shark. And a bull shark has the ability to swim in fresh water. They can actually swim in fresh water. They're one of the few sharks that can do that. They can go from salt water to fresh water and come back out. They're they feed in marine estuaries. But again, the black tip, probably the most popular. It's a smaller shark, 6.5, 7 feet long. Again, that makes you feel any better to get bit and let go of because it's probably going to hurt. So how do we avoid shark bites? Number one, avoid wearing bright colors and shiny objects. I remember when I was young, Mama wouldn't let me wear red. Wouldn't let me go out on a red raft. Remember those red rafts? She said, if you had the blue and red, we'll make sure the blue's down because the shark sees red, he sees blood. That's not true. That's not true. But the bright colors are something that will attract their attention. Shiny objects in the water. When we saw shiny objects, here's the common mistake we see that is predominant in a lot of shark bites that happen. People wearing jewelry in the water. A diamond ring, a gold ring, a watch with a glass, casing that the sun through the water shines in that murky water and flashes. Well, that flash can easily be mistaken by a shark for a fish scale reflecting light, and they bite at it. And so people get bit in the hands, the extremities. That's where shark bites generally occur in South Carolina. Not to say that people don't get eaten in Australia and in other areas where great whites are predominant. But in South Carolina, the black tip shark is one of our main culprits. And avoid wearing shiny objects in the water. Don't go in the water if you're bleeding. That should be obvious. Sharks do have a tremendous sense of smell, and they can sense blood. Absolutely. So don't go in the water if you're bleeding. Avoid swimming alone in the murky water at dawn or dusk. Now, a lot of our coastal areas are murky. That's just how our water is. But don't go in the early morning or at night. Don't go swimming at night because this is when sharks typically feed. And they're going to be, in the shallower water looking for fish in that time of day. So again, typically our shark bites in South Carolina are hit and run. They're a bite. They let go because they realize it's not their prey item. And black tips are the number one culprit. They're a smaller shark, around 7 feet in length at the most. But again, that doesn't make you feel any better if you got bit by a shark. So I don't want to downplay anyone who has been bitten by a shark. It does happen. How do we avoid it? Don't wear shiny objects. Avoid murky water, being in the ocean in the early morning hours or late evening hours at dark particularly.
How about
avoid bright, shiny colors. And don't go in the water if you're bleeding.
Yeah, how about the stories we hear about people, shark comes up on them, threatening whatever, and they hit them on the nose or something, and the shark swims away. I mean, is that a good defensive move to hit them in the nose?
I mean, I guess if you're getting ready to get bitten, anything you can do to get that shark turned around will work. Is that a scientific method? Not necessarily. All their sensory perception is on the nose, so there is some belief that hitting them there shocks them for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're that close that you can put your hands on them, best thing to do is get away. Get away from them. Don't thrash around the water, splash and attract them either.
Yeah.
Which, that's easier said than done. You see a shark, you're probably going to freak out a little bit. Most people do. What's interesting is the black-tip shark, which is the most common of our hit-and-run type bites, is the number one shark that most people go fishing for. They're more predominant because they do breed here in South Carolina waters, and their young will go into our estuaries and feed because we have a rich estuary system to feed as they're growing up. So the blacktip is the most common shark most people go fishing for if they're going to fish for shark and eat shark. Interestingly enough, the blacktip is very popular.
Do you like shark steak or shark bits?
I have had shark. I've liked it. Sometimes I've liked, sometimes I'm not. I will tell you that different shark taste different. And I've mentioned this before. The mako shark, which is a very fast shark, bigger shark, lots of teeth. And they're just a fast attack predator offshore. Their meat is so different in consistency. It is often substituted for swordfish. It is an excellent steak, fish steak. Like swordfish. I've had it blackened, and you could not tell the difference between a mako and a swordfish. So some shark meat is different in texture, but a lot of people do eat blackfin. That's what they eat when they fish for it. Again, don't swim around the piers when people are fishing and using bait, because sharks do hang around the piers because there's food readily available there.
Yeah,
remember that. So don't swim around our piers. Give them a wide berth. Swim down from them. Don't swim around them. Just good common sense can keep us safe from sharks. But that's our shark tip for today, Phil.
Yes, sir.
A little ode to the shark today. And thank you, CJ, for the question on alligators. But again, alligators, just using common sense. Don't feed alligators. Don't throw fish scraps out around your dock because you will attract gators. They have a simple mind, and they will come for food like that, and they will associate that food with you. So we always discourage that you give gators a good wide berth.
Major, it's been great. I know you're enjoying yourself down at Hilton Head, and
yes, sir.
Follow your own advice and watch out being in the waters down there.
Yes, sir. Nothing wrong with enjoying the ocean in South Carolina. We have beautiful oceans. But just, again, use common sense.
Thank you, sir. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. Appreciate you being with us. Major Billy Downer, SC Wild from DNR here on Sports Talk. That'll do it for us tonight from here in Charlotte. Matt Smith will be here with you tomorrow night. I'll be back in Columbia, coverage of Shane Beamer, coverage of Dabo Sweeney, all tomorrow. See you then.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fire